Guys, back. Bobbymoretti back. Surviving Sports Picks. SSP for short for some. I just wanted to break down some of the rest of the conferences that were that are out there, and I might have to make this into a 2-minute video. I mean, two separate videos, but I'm gonna go down through the remaining conferences, and I'm gonna give you my final top 5 and final 4, but 5 teams that I kind of liked. So here we go. Start now with the American East. American East, I think it came down to 2 teams. Vermont, 14-2 in the conference, 26-7 overall, and Stony Brook was 10-6 in the conference and 20-13. During the season, I won some money on Stony Brook. I won some money on Vermont. Vermont seemed to have the better team this year. Stony Brook's made the tournament before. I think it's Vermont's year. I think Vermont gets in. If Stony Brook wins a game or two, they're 20-13 going in. Do they get in? Do they get an at-large bid at let's say 22-14? Maybe. If they reach the championship or something like that, and they win 3 games or something, 23-14, maybe I think they might get in. So you might get 2 teams there, but I think Vermont's the winner. So that's that league. The American Atlantic, I think it came down to quite a few teams. I have Tulsa, Houston, Cincinnati, Wichita State, Connecticut, which I think they're done. I don't think they don't have a shot, but Memphis is behind them in the conference, but they're 21-10 overall, which was better than Connecticut. So, and SMU. So Tulsa 13-5, Houston 13-5, but Tulsa's 21-11 overall. Houston 23-8. Cincinnati's 13-5 as well in the conference and 20-10. I won a little money on all 3 of those teams this year. I knew all these teams. Is it Tubby Smith that's down at Houston? He wants to turn that. They built a new complex down there. They're really trying to make that into a powerhouse basketball team down there, since schools like Texas and these guys ain't coming around. Texas sports ain't like it was in the old Earl Campbell days back when I was younger. It's still football country. They lose a lot of recruits out of state that go out of state, especially in basketball and football now in a sense. But I know Tulsa's always had a decent program, but Houston, their football program's gotten a little better, and they want to do the same with basketball. It might be Tubby Smith. I'm not quite sure. He might have just left and handed it over to somebody else, or else he's still there. Cincinnati. Wichita State out of Kansas, state of Kansas. Obviously, nice team this year. Had a good team a couple years back, made a big run, followed them all year, knew exactly when to pick and choose when they were going to win after they lost a couple and won. I won some money on them. 11-7 in the conference, 21-11 overall. Houston 13-5, 21-8, 23-8 overall. Wichita State 11-7, 23-8 overall, and you had Memphis 10-8, 21-10 overall. Built up all year, lost a big dude that's going to the NBA. They had that problem with Hardaway and his family and giving them some money, so they've been playing with them all year. I knew exactly when to go with them on some nights and when not to. Did lose a couple times with them, but I knew exactly when to bounce back with them. So, so then SMU, who I felt had a really good team this year, they were 9-9 though in the conference, and 19-11 overall. So now, who gets in? Listen, SMU at 19-11, they run the table, they're in, right? Well, they get the automatic bid, but if they win 2 or 3, you got to see who's playing who and who's going to be on the cusp. If a team like SMU loses their first game at 19-11, they're out. Memphis, if they lose their first game 21-10, they might be on the fence. Wichita State at 23-8. If they won one and lost one, they're probably in. Cincinnati, I think, could be on the cusp at 20-10. They barely backed in. They were up and down. They lost. What's his name to UCLA? The head coach Cronin. He's out at UCLA now. That program is like Marquette. They're in flux for a year or two. Wojciechowski, I told you, Marquette, same situation. Bingo, they're back in it in another year or two probably. But Tulsa at 21-11 lost their first game. Let's say 21-12, could be on the cusp. It's wide open. If I had to pick a team to win the conference, I'm probably going to take Houston. And I'll tell you, a sleeper team could be SMU and/or Memphis with Hardaway at the helm and taking those maybe phony licks all year, all the things that happened. Who knows what was really going on. So I could see SMU, Memphis, or Houston. I don't think Tulsa was going to win the conference. You go up to the ACC, you got a ton of teams. Obviously, you got Florida State at 16-4 in the conference, 26-5. Virginia 15-5 in the conference, 23-7. Duke 15-5. Louisville 15-5. Duke 25-6 overall. Louisville, who I said I thought was overrated, 24-3. Georgia Tech, I think, has to win it. They're ahead of several other schools, but I think they got more wins overall, and I think they have a better chance if they win a game or two. So Georgia Tech either wins it all or they're gone. Notre Dame, example of what I just said, 10-10, 20-12. If they win a couple games, do they get in? Depending on who they're playing, maybe 22-13, maybe. Catholic school, Jesuits, maybe. Syracuse, Boeheim, one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Love Boeheim, love Syracuse, one of my favorite programs. Again, 10-10 in the conference, 18-4, has to win 2 or 3 games to get in. North Carolina State, up and down all year. I did win a couple games. I knew exactly when Boeheim maybe lost a game or two and was going to bounce back and won some money with Syracuse. Didn't play Notre Dame much. I stay away from Notre Dame in football a lot. Did win a little money on them in football this year on a certain particular weekend. Do the same thing week to week in basketball, but not a lot. NC State, I thought, had a pretty good team. They're 10-10, 20-12 overall. They get beat in their first game, 20-13. They might be on the fence. They win 1 or 2. They got a shot. The Big West, I think there's only one team, Irvine. You saw me playing them a lot. I had them as locks and max a lot of nights. That's why they're the only team there. I think they breezed through that conference and they win it. They're 13-3 in the conference, and they're 21-11 overall. You got the Atlantic 10. That's the powerhouse conference too. I said with Dayton 18-0 in the conference. They're automatically in whether they lose or not, whether they win the conference or not. They're in at 18-0 and 29-2. You got Richmond, had a nice team out of Richmond. The state of Virginia, 14-4, 24-7. Rhode Island, another nice sleeping team. Won money on both those teams this year. I posted all these teams I'm talking about, guys. I posted these teams day in and day out in college basketball, man. They were right there for the taking. It's just a matter of paying attention to me now going into sports when we get back. You got a feel for me now. I'm telling you, you got to do your homework. You don't need a scratch pad. I think you should have a little pad. Just get an idea of what I'm thinking. And really seriously, if guys want to win, those serious guys that really want to win, I know we all want to win, you got to pay attention. You got to understand, okay, there's Moretti again. There's Richmond. There's Rhode Island again. This is what they've been doing. You got to have a system. A guy asked me on a comment on my last video. He said, I thought you decoded. I wrote him back. I said, I told you I decode. I said, I decode. I surface decode, okay? I'm not going to give out chapters a day and connect all kinds of numbers to a bunch of different things and for each individual game and spend a half hour, 45 minutes on a game. I surface decodes with numbers. I told you. I'll talk to you about anything. It's in the last video. I told you what I talk about. Tavistock, CFR, Military Industrial Complex, Fabian Society. Out of Columbia, you got the Franklin School. I mean, think tanks, East Indian Company. I mean, bro, you texted me, you commented. I told him, I said, it's not his fault. I said, go back. If he comes back to me again after he sees the last video, he'll understand. And if he doesn't, then I don't know, you know. But then you had St. Louis, they started out really hot. They struggled for a while. I won some money with St. Louis early. They ended up 12-6, 23-8 overall. And they got a shot at 23-8 overall. They win 1 or 2 games, they might backdoor it. St. Bonaventure and Duquesne. I loved Duquesne all year. They finished behind St. Bonaventure. And they were 21-9, and Bonaventure was 19-12. But I think they might have been tied. I don't know what they were. I didn't write it down because I just said to myself, with those overall records, they both have to basically, make a strong run to get in. But Duquesne, I wouldn't put anything on St. Bonnie's, but I think Duquesne's better than St. Bonaventure, and I think Duquesne, if they make a run, has a shot to get in. You got the Colonial Atlantic. You got Hofstra. I played them all year. I told Mondo a few times Hofstra was there for the taking on my Patreon all year. I think it comes down to Hofstra, William and Mary. Hofstra 14-4, 26-8 overall. They could lose 1 game, and I think they're still in. I think, or maybe win 1 or 2. They'd have to probably win 2 and get beaten, maybe have a shot. I don't know. Maybe have to win it all, though, to get in. William and Mary, 13-5 and 12-11. Townsend, another team I liked all year. I played them, won some money on Townsend. Townsend 12-6 in the conference, 19-13 overall. They got some work to do. And then Delaware, another team I had up there all year. I think they're the Peacocks or something, 11-7, 22-11 overall. So, teams like that. I think at the end of the day, depending who they want in, I would roll. I would keep an eye on what's going on. I like Hofstra, I like Townsend, and I like Delaware. I don't think William and Mary is going to get into the big dance. You got Conference USA. I was telling you guys that were talking to me individually and privately, like Mondo and a few other guys, and that's the knowledge. That's rolling. That's Mondo playing it smart, getting it, understanding what's going on. He might be learning the lingo from me and getting an idea of what I'm doing. Texas State. I told you all year, Texas State probably winning that conference and getting an automatic bid. They were. North Texas was 14-4, 12-11, and the only other two teams that have a shot, Louisiana Tech. I played them as well. They were up there on the board on Patreon. Not as much as, they were up there as much as Texas State. I pick and choose my spots. They were 13-5 and 22-8 overall. Or 21-8. I just jotted it down here on a scratch sheet. 21 or 22. I think they were 22-8. They got a shot. They win a couple games, win it, they're in. Western Kentucky, they're not the Western Kentucky team of old. I think Danny Issel, if you remember him from the old ABA, played for the Denver Nuggets. I think he went to Western Kentucky. They've had some good teams in the past. I don't think they were quite that good this year. They were a little more inconsistent, and that's how I could tell they weren't a typical Western Kentucky team. They were 13-5, and they were 20-10 overall. They win it, they're in. They win 3 or 4, 24-10, 3-10, 23-10. Do they have a shot? I don't know. I think they got to win it to get in. I'm going to cut the video short right there, guys. I got the rest of the conferences across the country written down. Ring that bell, bro. Ring that bell. I'm up into the 60s, man. I'm climbing. I'm grinding. I'm 66 plus now. I reached out to a bunch of people, a lot of my old school buddies. They're hooking me up. They're getting their kids to sign up. I'm going to roll to that 1,000 and get live, bro. We're going to do some shows on the road, baby. You understand what I'm saying? So, listen. I'm going to cut the video. I have to, man. 15 minutes. I got to upload. I'll get back to you. And we'll go across some more of the conferences, and we'll get into what I thought might break down with the with the final four, my five, and I'll actually probably pick a final four for you. But hit that button. For those who did, I appreciate you, bro. Those who haven't, man, come on, man, give me a thumbs up, everybody, and get me another person up there. Every person's important. Hit that. Go take 2